Great, we are live, so both in person as well as we'll have some viewers joining us with our online stream through our YouTube channel and also the Facebook page for the Siena Art Institute. So it's really fantastic to have our in-person audience here as well. And we have the pleasure of hearing tonight from Nadia Frolova, who is not only tonight's speaker, but she also has been with us as one of our resident artists here at the Siena Art Institute and just coming to the end of her stay here. So it's really wonderful to have a chance to hear about what she's been doing during her time here in Siena, as well as for our lucky in-person audience, we'll have the chance after the slide talk to go down the hallway where she has set up an open studio of sorts using the painting room since it's more spacious. And we also will have some drinks and snacks there for our in-person audience to enjoy. But we're certainly glad to also welcome some online viewers to be joining us as well. And we will save some time at the end of the presentation for question and answer. So for our online viewers, feel free to use the comment section. If you have any questions, you can put those in the comment section and we'll save some time to respond at the end of our slideshow today. So just to share a few notes about tonight's speaker. So Nadia Frolova was born in Togliatti in the USSR, and she graduated from Togliatti State University of Graphic Design in 2010 and obtained a postgraduate course at the Bauhaus Dessau Foundation in Germany, focusing on design and urban studies in 2011. She also holds an MA in glass and ceramics, art and science from the Belas Artes Universidade de Lisbona in Portugal from 2022. She currently lives and works in Lisbon, Portugal. Her work has been exhibited internationally across Europe, including in the Czech Republic, Germany, Austria, as well as, of course, Portugal, where she's based. Her work combines several research paths: the nature of chaos and control in creation, the aspect of independence of her own sensations through her artistic practice, as well as the role of tactility in sculpture. She creates high psychological emotionality of textural layers, which can be born out of a body in presence, a moment, and an act of movement. The layers become an anthropological testimony to the presence of herself as an artist, dancing with chaos and control. Through this way of working with ceramics, Nadia explores traces of the physical birth of the creative act of freedom. So these are some themes that we'll be hearing from the artist herself. And again, we really encourage questions from our online viewers who are joining us. Feel free to put questions in the comment section and we'll save some time at the end of the talk today to respond to that. And of course, for our in-person audience, we welcome questions from you as well. So without further ado, I will turn the stage over to Nadia.
And first of all, I'd like to say huge thanks. I even wrote it down. Huge thanks to their Siena Art Institute and for the team to, first of all, creating this space. It's an amazing space, and I'm super happy and I feel super lucky to be here to meet amazing people here. And thank you for opening the art as a field open for everyone. It's very important. That's how I would like to open this talk. And I put this phrase, empathy as a bridge. I believe it's described better everything that I will show after this slide. Because in my art practice, the empathy is the core. Empathy to the work, empathy to the space, to the people, to material, and to myself. I believe that through the empathy and feelings, we are really connected. Just with the pure idea of the feelings, it's hard to connect. The feelings is important. Everything is, I believe, it starts with the feelings and empathy. And for me, as an artist, to be sensitive, to feel something first, that's meant to be fragile. to be open for everything, for the dark side, for the bright side, for the gray side of the life. And I found the earth as an example, as an image, as my teacher, which contains all of it. The earth contains death, the earth contains life. That's probably why I chose clay, because it's already in this material as a teacher and my partner. And maybe I can open the presentation with this hat, with this sculpture, which I made in January 2020. And later it will grow. It grows to the to bigger silhouette. But I made this hat 2 weeks before the COVID. We didn't know yet. It's coming, but I had a certain feelings what I wanted to apply to the material and express it through the clay. And I want the material to show, like, to get these feelings to be turning inside out. Probably everyone experienced that when you had so much inside that it's kind of like changing you, change your identity. Like such intense feelings, what very hard to put in the words, but you can put it in the art. And this hat I was creating through the destroying. It's barely like pushing it inside out, like sculpting through the destroying. And later, they have been showing in Lisbon, in medieval Cistern, a group exhibition related with the artworks which have been created during their first lockdown. And here, and this work with the destroying, with this gesture of destroying, I realized how imperfection is important for me in the material. But through the imperfection, I can say something. I can express something more than with the clear forms, perfect forms. And through this process, I learned several things from myself. What the empathy and what the feelings is triggered, it's something. And from that moment, I completely forgot about the concepts as an artist. I think especially here for their students, maybe it would be interesting to hear, because I had these questions before, like, should artists start with the concept or not? Where is the art style? Where do we have this first impulse? And from that moment, I realized that the impulse is a feeling. It's like what something has inside. That's what they push the whole process. And again, it's about the empathy. It's to feel something in there. And another day, when we went with Bernard to see in this project with the stones, he was saying that what the art, it can sense the future. That is, I completely agree about it. We can see it, but we can feel it. Something will happen in the video. And later, after that artwork, I switched to spontaneously to another serial, but grow what defined next 2 years for me, which called Lost Garden. And this works. It started with this picture. Once I walked in a Portuguese wood and forest. Yeah, I can say weird things. I'm nervous. And I found the huge trees which had been destroyed in the storm, like enormous huge trees. You can even understand what is inside of that. You just see some particles. And I had these feelings about them, what this association, what they look like animals, but like giant animals. And I wanted to create this kind of a garden, recreate this kind of a garden, but more like this kind of a sense what I had as a huge animal. And the trees, but the trees, which has this kind of like a skeleton, it's something like left, but with the skin. And from, I call it my jerk garden. It's my my small inside name for this project. And while I have been working on that, I was like looking for this skin, for this like moving skin. I wanted to create this sculpture, this surface, which create this effect of moving, of like breathing and living. And while I was working on that, I discovered the multi-firing techniques. In the ceramic, it is usually we fire, like we have this like a cover, we create kind of like a cover with 1 to 2 firings. I started firing a lot, over and over, over and over. Like there is a kind of like the process how, for example, one piece has been fired. And every time when I put it inside of the kiln, I'm losing the control because I don't really know what will happen. Because every time I apply something new, something can be plate, can be glazes, oxides mixed with that, something like usually like outside of the rules. I provoke defects. I provoke this kind of like melting, and every time when I put them, like I'm losing the control, the more and more and more, and the piece became like it started to live its own life, and it started to breathe for me. And I have this in my practice pretty often when I take it from the kiln, I put it on their table and I look at this, and I'm waiting this kind of gain my reaction. What do I say? What is like asking to me to do or not, and where to stop? It is, and in that point, I have a conversation with their my art. Is not like just I had the idea and I push it until like this image. Like I don't have this image inside. I just get this image when it's done, when I can feel it. And I can, okay, it's already something. It stays like outside of me as an artist. It no longer belongs to me. And I never know when it happens. Some my artworks like it took like 2 or 3 months to complete one piece because sometimes I'm stuck. I don't understand like what to do. I think what it's not say anything yet, and but I don't know what to do with it. It's pretty open situation for me. And later, I have been invited by the International Ceramics Biennale in Portugal to create big sculpture for the open space. And as a prototype, I choose one of my trees, and I created their big sculpture. It is 1 meter 30 centimeters high. I spent like 80 kilos of clay, 20 kilos of glazes. It went through their 6 firings, and every time it's been a huge risk because I could destroy their piece, could get a crack, and because I'm applying a lot of glazes to create this kind of like a painting, these colors was running, I provoke a lot of melting, like it's kind of like as it's really running inside of the kiln when it's a very high temperature. And but this moment, I understand in my practice is important, like losing the control. Like do not push like to allow material to do what it wants to inside to do. But be there, but allows to go like outside also. And later I was fascinated about this like the matter of their skin, of their sensibility happening with the sculpture. I will show you several works what happened after that. It's some forms where I'm experimenting with this melting. What later I realized what pushed me a lot. This kind of I had these feelings of falling. I wanted to create this surface, this skin, which kind of almost running away from the body. I call all of my pieces body. Sometimes it's hard to get a name, but I feel it as a body. And later I had an exhibition, a solo exhibition, which I named it as a Let It Fall. And again, personally for me, it was a kind of a sense, probably, because 2 months later, after this exhibition, after this showing the falling or something, the war is happened in Russia. And and that moment, of course, changed everything for me as an artist, as a person, as a human being. Because first of all, I realized what the power of the art. What is art? It can be a shelter, and for that moment it became my home. Because in 1 second, as I realized in that moment, we can lose the reality, what we had. We can lose the sense of home, the sense of safety, and we can lose the right to talk. And I created this serum 2 months later, which I put the name as a Name It, and it is a different, it is a pretty simple technology, not as I used before, but I'm again here working with the skin, with the surface itself, and I put the certain words there, but which cannot be read even by me, and it's kind of like a poem, but at the same time it's behave as scarves on the skin, which cover it with the white ashes. And that moment, the power for myself, it was when I can't say something, put it in the words, I can express it. And for me, it's kind of a close, I believe, all the questions that I had before as an artist, why am I an artist? What is an art? We should do in an art. It just disappeared. And later, I also realized what, before I was concentrated on about the sculpture, about the body, the sculpture itself. But I started to have strong feelings what I wanted to create my reality as an artist, and I want to go beyond the sculpture. I want to go to this air, what's happening around the sculpture itself. And I started to working with the textile. You also will see it in the studio visit, where I include also some particles of the ceramic on the textile. And now for me, this relationship between these two material, textile, which as air, which is incredible fragile, it's completely impossible to take a picture of the textile work because there is a physical thing. You can feel it just when you stay from that. And with the ceramics, which is the earth, and this dialogue which happening between this air and earth, this kind of between these two completely different materials. I'm fascinated about it because it's not already one piece saying talking. It's like it's a happening something between these two materials. As for me as a viewer, and yeah, there's just the small details of this work, and probably I will finish because I think it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I will finish this presentation with maybe kind of like a manifestation. I don't know, whatever. I believe that the art is it's a way of thinking, but through the sense, and it is also my own way, like to experience this. What does mean to be a human being, like just someone living on the earth, but a human, and through the creation. When I put like this kind of like a sense of it, sometimes it's impossible to put in the word, or words, or what. In the art, I invite others to that conversation. And as one of my friends said, when you open to others, like when like with your honesty, with kind of like with your feelings, then it's always a chance for there others will open as a response. Yeah, I think, and that's about.
So we can maybe open up to questions.
Of course, I will be glad. Yeah, if it will be the questions, or we can add to say some words.
Sure. Yeah. For our in-person audience, if there might be any questions or comments, yeah.
In fact, about that, is that fabric which is burnt?
Yeah. This is fabric what is burned, and this work is called dark transition, and it's also related with some special, like with some events connected with the war. I wanted to create this kind of like a sense of the burning river. That's why I started like to make this like a burning things, put it on the textile, and this object with this rider on the horse. It's also like in this black color, but almost like a burn. And again, like this also was curious for me when I realized that I can also apply this matter of destroying and the textile also, and it also can be the language. It's a kind of like transit from the clay to the textile, but with the same language.
There was a question that came in from one of our online viewers, Jeff, who was saying, you mentioned the interplay of chaos and control.
Yeah.
In working with clay and glazes, do you feel that you are steering the raw materials toward the finished product, or are the raw materials steering you in terms of chaos and control?
That is a good question, because there is a thing what actually it is a funny, but from my practice I realized the more I control it, the more I force the material, the more it's kind of like do not allow to explain. It's kind of like it's behave like a person. Like the more I push, the more I want to be surface. Like for example, I will show you one work. This one. Oh, this one. I was like so bad because I had an image, and I was so bad at like pushing, like to provoking. I was trying to calculate, like okay, I will put this there and then this. I was trying to have a plan, but the more I was going for this plan, the worse was the result. Like, and at some point, I was just like, okay, I'm going to throw it away. But because again, because of the empathy, I couldn't. I would just put it on the shelf, like, okay, wherever I stay there. 2 months later, I was like in my studio, I was walking, looking ahead. Oh, maybe like I had an idea what I like, maybe I can try and it's worked. It was like, I don't know, it was kind of like a response. But that's, I think, what this, like, it's really matter about this relationship without like hard pushing, like more like listening and responding. And of course it's intense. It's not like harmony. It's like, oh my god, what is that? And then you're like looking and trying to understand, like it's yeah, it's relationships. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes, great. Yes. Were other questions from our in-person audience?
Yeah, I know.
I will think that.
I love the series of heads. And they remind me a little bit of ancient Greek heads. So we're talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a cross or is it a person?
It is something in between. Like it is something because I didn't want to put like a cross, but at the same time I wanted to have this like figure of their, or the small figure of their human. But the cross, it isn't like if we like basically like geometrically like and symbolically speaking. So it's something in between that, and that's what also in my language very important. It's kind of like to be in this like balance between recognizable and not recognizable, between figurative and abstraction. Because I believe in this like in this gap between these two, it's kind of like not prose and reality, because it's not clear language. It's kind of like you see the cross, you see the figure, you see the like scheme, but it's words. Like it's for me is when when I gain this, like when I feel it, but it's there. It is the object became alive. Because it's not there, it's not there, it's something in the middle. It's kind of like this gray zone, but it's very hard to take sometimes. We want to or black or white. We don't want to be in the gray zone. And that's, I believe, why it's also important. But everything is happening in the gray zone. That's what we are living in the gray zone. It's very hard to, like, it's very dangerous to stay just on the black or just on the white side. For us.
There was a comment from one of our online viewers, Lily, who wrote, "Your sculptures feel both very alive and temporarily frozen in time." So just another dichotomy that she.
Yeah, and that's actually that is kind of like my question happening in my head very often, because a sculpture it is a frozen material. Basically, it is a frozen material. It's not the picture, and that's why. That's why this I think this matter of the movements, this kind of like abstraction and figurative is important for me, because that's what makes them alive. What it's created this like sense of what is it? It's kind of like a movement, and that's an interesting question in sculpture in general. To is it possible to put there? What is frozen? What is not frozen? How we sense that?
That's fascinating. And other questions? Yes, in the back.
Nadia, you said obviously some very relevant things, but like these lovely four ceramic students in the room. But is there anything specific you might have a message? Because they've only just started out with clay, and you're not even glazing yet.
To not start with the concept. And do not start with a certain clear image in your head. It doesn't work. Because it's kind of anything boring. Really. When you have a clear message, just like you like a production, art and creativity is a process. It's an energy response. That's why I mentioned it's like empathy. Like it's a response, because every time when I come to the studio and take the material, I feel something different. We're changing every moment. The reality is changing. And that, we can't deny it. That's a fact of the way how we work with it, especially with the clay, which is a behave as a, like, when you sense it, it's behave like a skin, like a body or something. So you can't just come to the clay just with your ego. It doesn't work. Clay doesn't like that. It's like, okay, whatever. But when you like inside, when you're listening, you're like listening inside, you're not pushing like your ego, like your idea and the raw material to do what it wants to do sometimes. Because it's, for me, it's, as I said, I never start with the concept, but very often for example, I sculpting without the image when I'm sculpting. And in some moment, for example, when I'm doing it, I'm realizing what, and like some part of the clay lays down in that direction, and it's showing. Sometimes I can like, okay, let's go there. And that's how it goes. How like it leads you. If too low, it leads you. But of course, again, like your creator, and that's important to this kind of have this like a balance. Because like to order, because the material is chaos. Any material what we take, it's a pure chaos. It's like just a paint, just a black. But what we can do with this, it is another question.
You know, I think that sorry, on the statement you made, I think is very important, and I think it applies for probably all kinds of
Exactly.
and it's you must start with an idea, but you have to see what happens in the process. So
Yeah.
it's very important what you're saying.
And it's apply, I think, also in the life. Like to react, to be empathy, to like when we're communicating, we can't just like, I can't just be with my thoughts or action. I have to, like, there is a way of being human beings, like to respond, like to see others. It's like to see others, to see the material, to see the space, and then react. It's a certain art. I also believe it's kind of like an instinct. We all have it. We just express it in a different kind of ways. It can be visual, it can be text, it can be the work with it. But it's kind of like our instinct, and we all have it. The matter is here, do we hear it? And do we follow to this instinct?
Did you have another question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question about the material. Because I'm curious to know where you select the style. Does come from your wardrobe, is something that you bring from some reason, or you select for?
It like in this style, I don't know. Do I have style?
In the last
Yeah.
work, we can see the textile.
Text. Okay, yeah. Actually, this, and it's funny, it started with my friend, who is an artist in textile, and she actually teaches me. I don't know if she's looking at this video. And he like showed me like to like how to
Embroidery.
yeah. And she said like, and I was telling her story about when I was a small kid, my mom, I really wanted to try that, and my mom bought me a book. But everything was so perfect in this book. And after then I tried it, like, oh, it's not like, it's like I need to be very precise. But my friend, like, she's like, who said that? You can wherever you want. You can live there wherever you want. Like, cut wherever you want. Like, put their nails wherever you want. And that was kind of like a click for me. I realized when I came, it doesn't matter what is the material. It's matter like my approach, like how is my body acting with the material, and it's the same like with the textile, and we have the same like with the clay. I like imperfection. I like destroying. That's why my very the sum of the parts. Through the textile, I realized what probably I'm an artist, not just a ceramist. But I mean, like, what it doesn't matter the material. It's a matter of what's like your individuality. Like, what is your individuality looking for? Looking for their beauty. Everyone has their own image of the beauty, and that's what it makes beautiful. It's not just the one clear image, it's something, right? So, I don't know if I'm...
Yeah, it's perfect.
That's very
Great. No. Other questions? We can also continue the conversation with our lucky in-person audience during the open studio that'll be down the hall and over some snacks and some rosato wine too. So we hope you guys can all join us for that. But certainly we appreciate our online audience joining us as well, and thank you for your questions and comments. I'll just mention we'll have an ongoing series of artist talks this autumn. We'll do a pause next week, but then the following Tuesday, October 17th, will be our incoming resident artist, Michael Brennan, who is an American painter. So we hope you all can be joining us for that. But certainly, we really appreciate you sharing your work with us, Nadia, and for both you and Thierry, our other resident artists, we really appreciate having both of you as part of our community for this past month. So, thank you so much.